Hey guys, it's Big Dave here for TGN, and it's Monday, and you know that means it's time for Warfronts. Yeah, that's right, Warfronts with an exclamation mark. Warfronts is my weekly Rift PvP show where an average PvE player, as portrayed by yours truly, attempts to get better at Rift's PvP Warfronts through self-analysis. This week on Warfronts, we had intended to take my level 32 rogue spec'd into marksman into some level 30s bracket PvP action, but unfortunately a tight recording schedule as well as the absolute refusal of the queues to pop meant that I had to lean on my level 50 mage once again. So last week we had an interesting match where I did a live commentary of my very first level 50 Warfront. This time around, it's a little more measured. We're going to do the standard episode. We are back in the Library of the Rune Masters. I still have not had a chance, because I wasn't expecting to use my mage this week, to switch his spec over to a more PvP, that's right, it's PvP, player versus player, a more PvP-oriented spec, so you will see me in my standard old Necromancer leveling spec one more time. After that, we're going to roll the dice on a new spec for next week. Alright guys, I don't see any more reason to delay. Let's go ahead and get into this. Again, this is my rank 1, fresh level 50, mage. He's spec'd into Necromancer. We are in the Library of the Rune Masters, and there is, in fact, only one thing left to say. To the action. So yes, indeed, we are back in the absolutely lovely Library of the Rune Masters. A little bit of mage rage there against rogues. Yeah. And a rogue over here quick to validate that rage, saying that he's done some 5-on-1s himself, so, yeah, rogues. Anyhow, very similar, very, very similar start to our last episode, right into the teleporter, and again, this Defiant team highly prizes that particular relic, so I very wisely, if I do say so myself, drop an AoE and just get my butt out of there. Quick look back to make sure I'm not followed. I am not, so that is awesome. So at this point in my level 50 life, I've done maybe 3 or 4 Warfronts at level 50, and one thing I will say that I've noticed is that the smaller arenas tend to treat me a little bit better. When there are objectives at stake, mobile objectives at stake, I tend to feel like I do a little bit better. Codex was the Warfront of the weekend, and man, I got my butt handed to me so many times in that Warfront. You know, rogues just hanging out near points, and yeah, just absolutely destroying me. 3 or 4 hits, not even sometimes 1 or 2 hits, more like it. And I was absolutely wiped out. I did pitifully horrible in those Codex battles, and yeah, I was happy to see Library of the Rune Masters pop here when I was set to record this. So yeah, these guys are moving in unison. They're really showing some teamwork, and this is the second Defiant team that's really showed off some good teamwork. So I figure, hey, let's try one-on-one with this guy. Almost positive that I will eat the bad end of it, and as you can see, I do. However, my death is not in vain, for I serve as a distraction, so that my cunning teammate may steal the relic. Lovely. Yes, I may not be able to contribute much on the damage charts, and you will in fact see at the end of this match that I do not contribute much of anything. But I am another physical body, and I can seem like a tempting target. And I think that guy saw me in questing gear and was like, oh my god, I'm going to kill this guy. And indeed he did. So it just said the Guardians are all martyrs. I don't know what that means. Does that mean we got all of the relics? I think that's what it means. If you know what it means, let me know in the comments below. So back to this teleporter. I do love the teleporter. Don't know why. I just love it. Just feels nice. Puts me little red wings on me back. Gotta love it. So we are just beating the crap out of this guy. I always love to be, I hate to be bullied, but I love to be a bully. Like, you know, I'm standing here like, you guys are going to get it. So I got like 4 buddies with good gear backing me up. And, yeah, I throw in my 200 damage and feel like I accomplished something. Oh, yeah. So we're just doing a really good job of staying together. We've got some good healing going on. I mean, it's just... This is a a cohesive pug. It's not something that you really often see, but it's working out really nicely. So one thing I'm really focusing on in this match is using my spell. Oh crap! The name, I wrote the name down just so I would remember, but now I can't tab out to look at it. Anyway, it's my spell. It's my number 6 on my bar. It's the spell that dampens the healing that they receive. I don't feel like I use that enough, and I'm really working to get that more into my rotation when it comes to unloading on some of these guys, because so many of these characters have either healers or they have good self-healing. So in an effort to cut down on that, I really like to try to get that into my rotation. It's just something I haven't been consciously using. And you'll see this guy here making an awesome mistake, just kind of hanging out in my AoE. I don't mind it. Of course, I didn't do the bulk of that damage. My teammates did, but I'm going to take a little smidgen of credit. I'm going to take like 1/10 of the credit for that kill. Oh yeah. I pick it up where I can get it, man. I am not picky. I will take 1/10 of a kill here and there, and eventually by the end I'll have 1 or 2 kills. So I see my teammate being assailed down here, and you know, he's a mage, a fellow mage. I think I could help this guy out, maybe. Not so much. I do manage to unload onto the carrier of the relic, but I have a little help from off screen. You can see a rogue pouring in damage. It's not going to be enough to keep me alive, I do not believe. Yeah, a little pullback there, and I will be finished. What is this, a reaver? Or what is it called? Oh, fiddlesticks. The warrior that can warp around and stuff. Oh, I don't know. My highest warrior is like level 19, so excuse me for not being up on all the warrior specs, guys. So again, this is another level 50 experience, and man, we wiped the floor with them. They seemed really organized. This is the second time I've had a match in Library of the Runemasters where the other team seemed really organized, but in the end, they were not. For all their organization, they didn't do much of anything. As you see the teleporter fail there. Being that the match is so well in hand, I decide that I'm going to get brave on this rogue here, and there I go. Look at that. And there we have it. The Guardians are victorious. And you can take a quick peek at my stats. You can see the poor, sickly, anemic damage that I did. 11, not quite 12,000 damage done. And I didn't pull in too much in the way of favor, but hell, I'll take it, you know. Anyway, guys, this has been another level 50 episode. Let's talk a little bit about some of the lessons we may have learned. Lessons learned. So the first thing that I learned is that oftentimes looks can be deceiving. This Defiant team looked very organized, but in the end, that organization didn't really count for anything. Even though they were coming in 3 and 4 at a time, once they would come in, they would often split up. So they were all taking the same teleporter, they were all coming down together, but then they were losing focus once they actually got onto the battlefield. But my team was not doing that. We were generally staying bunched up together. I did have a few times where I strayed, and I paid the price in those times. But looks can indeed be deceiving, as this Defiant team, much like the last Defiant team in episode 29, looked like they were going to be a well-organized powerhouse, but in the end they lost very badly. So I also learned this week that I can be useful even if it's not for my damage. You saw the one instance where I served as a distraction for the other player who snatched the relic. So again, that's not really a very positive thing to... That's not a positive thing to say, hey, I can be a sacrificial lamb. Isn't that great? But I did learn that while I am undergeared and underranked, I can indeed still contribute to the overall win by putting myself out there and becoming a target in times of desperation. You know, the mage who I was covering for there had really nice gear. I think it was rank 7 or rank 8. I'm not up on all of the visuals of the gear yet, but he seemed to have a full PvP set, and it was much better that he lived with a relic than I did. So, yeah, when all else fails, throw yourself in front of a bullet. And finally, I learned that I really need to get into a PvP spec with this guy. I feel almost completely ineffective. I don't feel like my attacks are doing much damage. I don't feel like I have the abilities at my disposal to really excel. I really have to get into a PvP spec if I'm going to continue to play competitively, which will continue to play. I've not yet played competitively at level 50, but if I'm going to contribute to my team truly and completely and not just be a moving target for the other team to smash into the ground, I need to get into a PvP spec, and I need to do it post-haste. Alright guys, I think that's going to put this week's episode in the books. That's episode number 30. Man, number 30. Wow. I never thought when I started this show that it would make it 30 episodes. That is 30 weeks. I mean, for me, that's quite an accomplishment. I hope to continue moving forward with Warfronts. I hope to get better, and I hope that the show can evolve into something that is actually speaking with a voice of authority. Right now, I am still a noob. I'm learning, but I'm still a guy who is reliant on the advice of others and reliant on the knowledge of those who've gone before me. But I do hope one day Warfronts might be looked at as a show that does in fact provide good, sound information. But we're probably going to need at least another 30 episodes before we get to that point. Alright guys, next week we will attempt to go back on this mage. Oh man, I'm going to work very hard to get a PvP spec up and running. I do think... I wrote this guy's name down too, but I cannot remember. It begins with an A. The Armor something? Oh, God, dude, sorry. Shout out to whatever your name is. Put your name, put a comment, and I'll shout you out. He has given me some pointers, and I really do enjoy it. Several other people have pointed me towards resources, and I absolutely love it. Thank you guys for coming together as a community to help me, but through helping me, you are helping others, because the information that you spread through Warfronts and that you give me to spread disseminates out to the Rift community as a whole. So I really, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. I have been Big Dave for TGN, and until next time, take it easy.